Good morning, wonderful listeners. You've tuned into Post Session Podcast, a podcast filled with the stoke of a surf session and the wise guidance of an ocean voyager. Your water-loving hosts are ready to share this infectious state of mind while encouraging and inspiring you for your next adventure.
Okay, it's weird coming out of the intro because during the intro, everybody can't hear us. They can't see us, can they?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're just hamming it up and
I thought
dancing.
you both were really talking there.
Oh,
we weren't. Not.
And he
no,
didn't mean
we
that.
weren't talking. Who is this?
Who is this person?
Who is this mystery
Let's
guest?
introduce Mark Johnson. I'm stoked to have him here. I met him at Surf Church.
Surf Church.
And he is a youth pastor turned beach pastor. Just found out he's an opera singer. And
You're about to just find out, people, that he's an opera singer.
Oh, no.
Well, you told us. So I think a great intro is, why don't you give us a little flavor?
just
Oh.
just a
Everyone's not an
verse.
opera singer.
Or
Come on.
or a the refrain or something.
Just something.
Okay, so I shared this information with some college students the other day, and then they were like, Mark, sing Ave Maria. And I was like, oh,
Ooh.
gosh.
God, those are
But I don't know what it's going to be like singing with headphones on and singing
best.
into this mic.
It's gonna be
In
amazing.
this small room.
Can't
and
wait.
so we'll see how this goes. And if you're a musician out there, please don't judge me because this was not prepared.
Judge him
judge.
harshly. This is your interview.
Oh, gosh. Ave Maria. Gratia plena. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Oh my God.
Holy crap, he's legit.
For real.
He's legit.
It's so funny when I tell people that and then I start singing and
yeah.
they like kind of look at me like that sounds coming out of you.
Right, because it's a different person.
Right. It's completely different.
You
I
all-
noticed you didn't
I don't
look
know
at
if
us
you can-
either. You
yeah.
were staring into space so we wouldn't distract you, I guess, or you could channel your inner
Yes.
Inner Ave.
opera guy.
Yeah.
Whoa, ho, ho,
Well, I feel
ho.
like our listeners, if they're only listening, they wouldn't see you, but he looks like he's got the long blonde hair. He's got his little trucker hat on. There's no opera.
no
clue.
opera vibe. No, he looks like somebody you may or may not take seriously,
Yeah.
Right.
depending on which room you're in.
That's what I'm going for.
But now I'm freaking taking him seriously.
I feel like we need to rewrite the episode.
This is going to be
know.
the most serious post-session podcast ever.
Yeah. You know what? I want to divulge something
Mm-hmm.
here. I've always been secretly something I'm working on, okay?
Okay.
But I've always been secretly jealous of people that have a good voice.
Me
because
too.
I think
Not secretly,
No,
though.
no, no. God
Outright.
did not give us good singing voices for a reason.
We should find
would-
that out though right now.
Yeah.
No.
Anytime. Let's do it.
Okay, go ahead, Laurel. What are you going to sing? We've sung on the air before.
Oh, yeah, we have. And
No, the reason that God didn't give me a singing voice is because I would abuse it.
Yeah.
I would abuse it. It would be all about me. It'd be like, guess what I can do? And all the time because I'm just so impressed with people.
This
that-
wouldn't be a speaking spot or
Podcast.
podcast. Yeah. It would be a singing one.
Yeah.
Oh, like a musical podcast.
I'd annoy my kids. My kids would just be like, shut up, because I'd sing all the time.
Yeah, that would be true for me too. And I still will do karaoke. And
I love it.
our next door
love it.
neighbors in Puerto Rico, there's Puerto Rican, and he's got a huge karaoke machine, and they do it
yeah.
every Friday night.
You're
it's
there.
a thing.
You're there.
Well, I've only been once.
What?
I know, but we've listened from you can hear it loud and clear because the windows are open, and oh my gosh, there's some bad singers.
Well,
Real bad.
here's what
singers.
people don't realize about karaoke, because I have a bad voice,
Uh-huh.
but it's all about the performance.
Exactly.
It is all about the performance.
You have to
'Cause
make up for it.
Even if you are a good singer, if you aren't performing while you're karaokeing, people are like, yeah, that person's a great singer, but that wasn't it. It's
Boring.
about the entertainment.
Yeah,
The
like the
entertainment factor.
remember the elephant on Sing?
Yes.
Yeah, that
They're
was
coming
her
out with a
problem.
Sing too.
Thank goodness,
Yep.
because that movie was awesome.
Yep. I
Yeah.
love that
Who'd you
movie.
like the best?
I was it Johnny?
Johnny,
the one that
the
played
ape, yeah.
the Elton John song?
Yes.
Yes.
I love
I'm still
Johnny.
standing.
I'm still
Yes.
standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh.
There we go.
I'm glad Mark wasn't louder when we sang that though, because I would have just been more embarrassed.
Well, I hope that like every transition we'll have to do a song.
You can never know what it's like. And I don't know I don't know
I
all
don't
the
even
words
know
either.
that song, but I'm dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Sing too.
So I used to be a music teacher, and we were towards the end of the year, and so I taught 5th through 12th grade. So I
Wow.
taught middle school, high school,
Ooh,
and I showed
middle school.
Yeah,
Barf.
I showed my classes that movie like towards the end of the year, and then I learned how to play that song on
Yes.
piano, and so we would,
Yes.
as a class, we
Oh.
would all
Yeah.
sing that Elton John song. It was super
Everyone
cool.
can get into that.
Dude.
Everyone.
Oh,
When
yeah.
that song comes on, the kids,
Oh,
Ren,
yeah.
my husband, everyone, we're like,
Everyone starts standing.
yeah,
Oh wow.
because you're still
Yeah.
standing.
Oh yeah, sure.
So, oh my gosh, a
I hope
middle
there-
school
I-
voice.
I hope there are more puns during this time together.
Well, that's up to you.
Yep.
How in
No
the
pressure.
crap do you teach a voice that's all crackly and awkward? I mean, that's got to be the
Okay.
hardest job in the world.
Yeah. So especially for boys. So
Yeah.
like when a middle school boy is going through that voice change.
Ugh.
So and they're starting to mature. Like when they're in 6th and 7th grade, they really can kind of still fully sing like a girl.
Right.
And so, but that is embarrassing when you're in 6th and 7th grade.
Oh,
Sure.
So when
okay.
you have a female voice teacher, usually boys like will shy away from really singing at all because they're like, I don't want to do that. But for me, like, oh, like I can
He
sing.
sings
up-
like a girl.
like
Yeah.
I can sing up in my falsetto, and so it helps give the guys confidence where it's like,
Permission.
oh, this is a grown man who can sing up high like that still.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't look girly,
right. It doesn't look girly. So
except for the long hair.
yeah. I didn't have long hair when I was teaching.
Long hair is awesome.
Yeah.
I always liked long hair.
I do
Yeah.
too.
But
Yeah.
anyway, not to digress.
But so it gives them
Okay.
confidence, and then
Yeah.
so really working. I had gender specific classes like guys only, which really helped, especially in that age.
yeah.
Gap.
So self-conscious anyway.
Yeah. And so being around girls, it's like I don't want to sing the. I don't want to have a.
No, I
and so
can't.
it was very helpful during that time to kind of encourage them to continue to
Yeah,
sing.
I think it's such a big deal to have men in the school system. I
Oh
mean,
my
just
gosh.
male
Tell me about
teachers
it.
and
yeah.
role models, and
Yeah.
not just the coach,
Right.
but like
Right.
really in
not
there.
just the coach.
Absolutely. Those
Yeah.
darn coaches.
Yeah.
Dag.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna skip over the table of contents
Because
because we
Billy
all,
made us.
yeah, and we all know what's coming next, except for Mark, and he'll just have to roll with it.
I
He
have
read the
nothing
email.
in front of me besides a microphone and this coffee.
That's all you need.
That's all you
That's
need.
all we have typically. So, well, let's go to post-session notes. Post-session notes,
Yeah,
right? Isn't
yeah,
that next?
yeah. What did you do in the water this week? And
You surfing? You diving? What do you do?
This week,
well, you can include the last 2 weeks because
This
we release every 2 weeks.
month?
yeah.
It's just the beginning.
So the
of the month.
past couple weeks, my main water interactions have been really fun. It has been groups of people, whether it was 20 to 25 of my students all on wave storms together,
Wow.
party waving, having a blast, or if it was me and just a handful of friends once again on wave storm, because it's been these little tiny waves recently.
Yeah,
and
the wave storm's perfect.
and the wave storm's perfect, especially when you're trying to be crazy and just do tricks and have fun and you're not worried about dinging your board. And I have a student who's getting ready to be a freshman in high school. His name's Noah Anderson.
Hey, Noah.
Hey, Noah.
Freshman.
Yeah, he is an absolute shredder and he's great at longboarding. And I've been telling him recently, I'm like, dude, you got to start surfing in contests, man.
Yeah.
Because he's a really athletic kid. He's really competitive. I was like, dude, you would do awesome. And I've been telling him that. And he said something to me really cool. Just a couple days ago, he was like, yeah, I was talking to my friends who do surf contests and Noah loves surfing. And so he's like, when I talked to them, it took a lot of the joy out of surfing for his friends who compete. And so he's like, I want surfing to be something that I just love to do. And I don't want to have to make it this competition. So it was really cool to hear a young guy say that.
That's pretty grown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
so
mature.
I say that to say the past 2 surfing experiences I've had, the waves haven't been really big. They've been super small, but we've been getting people out there. I surfed with my last time I surfed with my wife, which is always super fun to watch her really paddle into waves and catch them on her own. And
I didn't know she surfed.
Yeah.
Because we might would have had her
I know,
instead
yeah,
of. Anyway.
She'd be much more she'd be much more grace-filled in this time together. But yeah, so she loves going out to surf when it's small, and she doesn't have to work super hard to get out there, and she can kind of just paddle in and enjoy
Just have
it.
fun.
There's no life and death situations.
Right.
Laurel started me on the wave storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I liked it.
and now you have a new board. So
Yeah.
when are you going to take it out?
Someday.
Someday. Like when?
Well,
How about tomorrow?
tomorrow. I'll get right back to you
Okay.
on that. We'll see. I got to get it from Jason still.
Oh,
He
you
still
still
has
don't
my
have the
board.
fins.
Yeah.
That already
But it-
sounds like a plan.
It's definitely a half-baked plan. But see, I'm not a surfer like I'm going to become one because, my
You got
friend
a
here
board.
is one. Yeah. But I'm not a surfer. I dive. That's about it.
She's a free diver. I don't know if you know this, but she's a
Yeah.
world record holding free diver.
What?
You ain't got to tell him that.
Yeah, I do. I want to tell him that because otherwise
You
you,
got proof.
don't surf and you're already kind of like.
He's like, what
I
is
wanted to
she
build you
doing
back up.
here?
Yes. Like, what's the
okay.
point?
Well, thanks. Thanks.
I've never free dived before.
Ooh,
It's fun.
she does
Yeah.
classes.
Super
They
cool.
are really cool. So, my post-session notes.
Yeah, what's yours?
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with this tradition, but when you have a birthday, you have to get, however old you are, that many waves,
I did not know that tradition.
and it is important.
Sounds like a lot of
But I
work.
need, I need to remember that. Oh man, I'm only 29. I couldn't.
How many? I
That
mean,
would
how do
take
you?
me a while out there.
Well, I had a friend.
How old are you, Laurel?
He's passed away, 52, and he was 70, and he would literally get almost. He would stay out there most of the day. I mean, up until like his last couple of years, he'd get all the waves himself,
Well, I'm
and he
trying
would
to-
even kind of come into the shore break and just is that many pop ups. But I cheat.
Yeah,
I enlist my friends
Typical.
to count their waves, and
Okay,
they all
okay.
count towards my
Yeah.
birthday.
but I would still think that's a lot of waves. You'd have to be out there a while.
Yeah, but I mean, he's also.
I mean, in your case, that's a lot of waves. You'd
That's
be
a lot of
a
waves.
lot of waves.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, let's dive a
Wait,
little.
I didn't share my possession
Ooh,
note.
Another
Oh.
pun.
Oops.
Another pun.
Yes.
Yeah, we're full of them.
That's two.
And it. Let's see. We do back-to-back recordings, and I already talked about, I don't know, the interview, whatever. So I want to talk about some river swimming.
Oh.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned river swimming.
With the water moccasins and,
And the
alligator.
I was
alligators.
talking to a college age kid 2 days ago, and he called himself a river rat. I had
River
not-
rat.
Yeah.
You never heard of that?
I'd never heard of a river rat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a thing. River rat. We're river rats now. So we lived on the river for a while now, but we just bought a new place in Castle Hayne on the river. And it has a little beach at low tide, and the kids are in the river all the time. And of course, at first I was freaked out. I'm like, no, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be.
Alligator.
Yeah, right. But then you realize they're not there. They're down there.
Where?
They're not right here.
Is that what you tell yourself?
That's what I tell myself.
Okay.
And that's my experience.
Well, that's what we say with sharks, right? They're not right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
They're out there, but they're not right here.
Right. But they are sometimes. But yeah, and the snakes and stuff. But the river is refreshing right now. It's just beautiful for the children to be able to run down the dock. They jump on our sailboat, Jade. They jump off Jade. They swim to the beach. And we did this Saturday for, I think it was about 6 hours.
Wow.
Nice.
Non-stop. I'm not exaggerating.
Kids don't stop. How old are they?
Oh my gosh, 7 and 3, and there were 7 kids at my house, so they were all just like, it looked like ants, just running in a circle. And
I love how kids will do the same thing. If they find joy in something, they'll do it over and over and
don't
over
care.
and over and over again.
yeah, and I'm thinking right because I do it about 5 times. I'm like, okay, great, check. Not them. You're right.
They just keep going.
They're tenacious. Yeah. So swimming in the river, it's awesome, and we're right down from a place called Redneck Beach.
Where's that?
It's right down the street.
Where the river rats run.
That's where the
That's
river
where-
rats
oh,
go.
yeah.
And on Google Maps, it's called Redneck Beach.
No.
Yeah, dude,
Oh, that's awesome.
check it
You
out.
fit right in
Fit right in. We call it the Haney Hole,
where she lives.
Castle Hayne.
Castle
Haney Hole.
Haney.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Castle
Castle
Haney Hole. Injustice of the week. You ready?
Well,
Did you bring one?
did you bring one?
Is there an injustice you want to talk about?
So there is, but I don't know if it qualifies.
Ooh.
Everybody says that.
We'll let
Yeah.
you know.
I am.
Yeah, okay.
We've never had to say it doesn't, but this could be a first time.
Well, I'm here to impress, so hopefully
You better sing
it.
it.
Yeah.
Will be one.
Yeah, sing your injustice. We'll be all right.
No, so I've been preparing for this podcast for weeks,
Exactly.
Obviously.
obviously,
It comes across.
and so when I thought of an injustice of the week,
This morning.
Dramatic pause.
yeah, dramatic
He's
pause.
thinking of one right now.
I'm trying to figure out how to word it correctly. But
Oh.
the injustice of the difficulty that we have as human beings to balance justice and grace.
Hold on.
Oh. Ashley's hitting her head on the microphone.
Yeah, you should have given us this last night so I could think on it. That's all right. I like being put on the spot. So balancing justice with grace.
With grace.
Proceed.
Okay. So what I mean by that is
Leave it to a youth pastor to bring this up.
Yeah, way to
I
go,
know,
Mark.
I know. We want the world wants justice.
Yeah.
Justice, sir.
If your child was kidnapped, if you were run over, if lots of things that we
Right.
want justice for.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, but we also want grace.
For ourselves.
Yeah,
for
damn
sure.
spankies.
Yeah. we want and we need grace for ourselves and for each other.
But we don't want to give it to other people.
But we don't want to give it to other people. And that's a little bit of our own pride.
Mm-hmm.
And so I truly believe that God is the perfect balance of justice and grace. And when you really think about it, the justice, like if we actually got what we deserve, which is, for the wages of sin is death, what I really deserve in life is to be cast out from God because I destroy myself, I destroy this world he created. I sin against, I hurt other people. I sin against him. And so really the justice that I deserve is this separation from him. But God is so perfect in love and grace as well that he forgives me of all of that. And it's free and I don't have to earn it. I just get to receive it through faith in Jesus. And so God is like this perfect balance of justice and grace. And I think it as so the injustice of the week, as I was thinking, in my mind, is the injustice of, man, how difficult it is for us to really try to find that balance and show that balance towards other people. Because we want to hold people accountable to their actions, sometimes so much so where we don't give any grace. And then sometimes we give too much grace and we don't hold people accountable to their actions. And so the injustice is the balance of justice and grace.
You know what I say? Can I go?
I would love for you to go.
One thing I say is in those moments where it's really difficult and you know that you're not, you haven't struck the perfect balance because you're human and imperfect and you are incapable of doing that. The wonderful thing is God is so consistent that we can depend on him to serve up justice when necessary, but maybe not now the way we want it, and grace to everybody. It reminds me of parenting. You're not a parent.
No, but so parenting is the best example
of God's love and grace and justice and everything.
And I'm going to find this out soon of, hopefully so my wife and I are wanting to, start having kids fairly soon. And
yeah, boy,
I'm going to figure out the balance of how do I show my kid grace and when do I discipline my kid?
Well, you know what? Nothing has brought God other than watching The Chosen, which I love, by the way, and we talked about earlier.
Watch The Chosen.
But other than that, nothing has brought God into a clearer context and in clearer focus for me than being a parent.
Yeah.
Because it's all kind of cerebral. It's like, oh, God loves me and, his justice and there's grace, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't mean anything till you see yourself in that role, kind of, because on a much smaller
As a
scale,
parent,
obviously,
In the
but-
judge role of your kids.
and the
Yeah.
grace role. And then you realize, oh my gosh, now I get it. There's this unfettered, unbounded, always forever love, even when things are bad, even when my 7-year-old's giving me lip and these things
Hitting
are
her brother.
and hitting their brother and just acting like a
Turd.
perfect turd. Right. the love doesn't go away.
The perfect turd.
Perfect turd.
I
We
want
all
y'all
know
to
what
bring
those
that
are.
to your
Yeah.
minds.
Think of the perfect turd. On one hand, it's perfect.
I think we could sing
It's
that.
ideal.
Yeah.
The perfect
Turd.
turd.
That's you, Ani, baby. But so you're always just ready and willing to extend the grace, but it doesn't negate the need for justice either.
Yeah.
And so
or discipline, which is not punishment but teaching. The
Yeah.
goal of the
sometimes punishment.
the goal of that punishment is to produce something in them
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
better than what they were
Yeah.
stuck with before they
Yeah.
were taught this new thing or this lesson.
It confuses people about God too when they're expecting his justice to look like ours.
Yeah.
You lose a
Mhm,
child, right?
mhm.
Or a child
Why?
is
Why?
killed.
Why?
How could he let this happen? And the way I reconcile those things is just to remind myself, hey,
Hey.
yeah, thank goodness I'm not in charge of justice because my emotional state is
Yeah.
totally going to decide who lives and who dies.
Yeah.
And that's for him. This world's
Mhm.
broken and imperfect, and those hungry children in India walking on piles of heaps of trash that are orphans.
Mhm.
It's for me to care about, but it's not for me to serve justice to
Right.
those people because it's impossible.
Yeah.
Well, and when you look at, like, when we think about child abuse, which is one of those most horrific things, but we know that often the perpetrator was also abused.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of replaying and cyclical, and just the kind of junk in men and women is in there, and it comes out. And when I try and think about justice and grace, I feel like Americans have a harder time balancing two things. I
Yeah.
think in the Jewish culture and also a lot of the Middle East culture, it's normal to have tension between two things, like two ropes that you're holding on to, two different ropes that you're holding on to at the same time, justice and grace. And so having those, the dichotomy of those two things and holding them together at the same time, like we're like, oh, no, it's either this or that.
Well, we're so independent. We got to be
Yeah.
right. We
Yeah.
think we're right
Yeah.
all the time.
Wow.
Maybe.
That's
I
deep.
don't know.
Yeah. So one of the things I think of as well is like, is even Jesus said, I didn't come to condemn the world, but to save it. And, I think a lot of times maybe Jesus was also this perfect balance of justice and grace, but I think sometimes as fallen, broken human beings, I think for me personally, erring,
Aaron.
Airing. Oh, like making
An
errors?
error.
like an error,
Error.
erroring.
Error.
There it is,
Erring.
not airing.
Airing.
Erroring on
Aaron.
this. Yeah. Aaron, if you're listening,
Say it about you.
erring on the side of grace is something that I try to do more of instead of like judgment.
But you know what? Something else I notice as a theme in like American Christianity
Because we're not the righteous judge.
That's right.
is,
Unrighteous judgment sucks.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've had some of those too.
Yeah.
But something I notice in our Christian culture as Americans is this, and grace is very important,
Yeah.
and if we focused on it, that's a good direction to head. But sometimes I think that we focus on it so much and kind of forget the justice part. Not that
Yeah.
we should be doling out justice, but we forget or ignore God's true nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything is grace-filled and everything is forgiven. And although some of these things are true, we also have accountability too. And we also have to make good choices and do the right thing. And we also have to face them one day.
Yeah.
Bring the fire and brimstone, Ashley.
Well, I'm just saying, you got to
Come
have
on.
a little heat, right?
Yeah,
If you're going to enjoy the
that's right.
summer.
Yeah.
Jeez,
We're bringing it.
bring it.
All right.
So
Was that, did
Got
did
that
we
figured
answer
Is
out.
that?
that an
Yeah.
injustice of the week?
that
Yes.
was totally, and that was
Perfect.
a great injustice
was.
too.
Perfect.
Yeah. Because we were just going to talk about starter homes, so that was way better.
Yeah.
Thank God we didn't have to pull out the starter home injustice.
yeah. So, time to dive deeper.
Yes, let's
Pun
dive
intended.
Have we
deeper.
not already been deeper?
Well, we did go
That's-
deep.
That's pun number 3.
Yeah. That was the injustice of the week. Now we're going to dive even deeper.
There you go.
Yeah.
Boom. Okay. Well,
Dun, dun,
you
dun,
thought this was an
dun.
interview, but we were kind of thinking of it as an intervention.
Yes.
Perfect.
We got
I need
something.
it.
Yeah.
Wait, or is this for our friend over here?
No,
Nope.
it's for you, Mark.
Billy's on the right track in life.
Yeah.
It's you we're worried about,
Billy
Mark.
is moving to Puerto Rico.
Right.
You, our friend, are moving to a landlocked location.
Isn't
Where
this?
you going?
I
He's
just
leaving.
changed my mind. I'm going with Billy.
Wait,
Good choice.
You
We don't need
invited?
to finish this
Yeah.
intervention.
that's awkward, Mark. I don't know if
Alright.
you've been invited, but whatever.
Yes, I am moving to Oklahoma on July 7th.
Ain't no beach in Oklahoma.
There's no beach.
There's no surf
No
church.
surf church in Oklahoma.
There's no surf church, but there is cowboy church.
Cowboy.
Oh, yeah, that's what we need.
Billy, you're the best.
But Oklahoma, I think, does. Yeah, someone can Google check this, but I always heard it growing up in Oklahoma. But it has some of the most coastline of. It has more coastline than most of the states do because of all the lakes that are in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, that counts.
I don't hear anybody
know.
surfing Oklahoma Lakes.
Yeah, you see me
Maybe
shaking my
Lake
head
Michigan.
But I also think they built one of those professional wave pools in Oklahoma City. So
How far away will you be from there?
like an hour and 15, hour and a half. Not bad.
Okay.
So-
no. Yeah, you get to
Road
wait
trip?
in line. That'll
So-
be wonderful.
Yeah, great.
So,
The new lineup.
this, right.
Yeah.
hey,
Hey,
good
pun
one.
number 4.
Good one.
Got it.
So, this is for family, though. You're moving to be closer to family.
Yes. So my wife and I are desiring to start having kids,
Mm-hmm.
and we desire which we know we could do that here, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But
The
yeah.
water's better in
Right,
Oklahoma.
yeah. But if we did not have family in Oklahoma, I don't know. I don't know who's listening and where you listen from, but if you've ever been to Wilmington and Wrightsville Beach, it's like my favorite place on earth. And sometimes I tell people, I think God just wanted to give my wife and I a little glimpse of heaven for 4 years. So we've been here for 4 years.
Paradise.
You need to tell your
Yeah.
parents this. Look in
I
the
know.
camera and be like, Mom, Dad, this is where it's.
They come once or twice a year here, and so they know how beautiful it is. But we have so much family, and I've got like 3 sets of living grandparents.
Oh.
My parents, my older brother and
Yeah.
his wife, and my
Yeah.
only niece and nephew, all in the same town where we're moving to.
Yeah.
Oh.
And family is crucial.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do it without family.
Yeah.
It's so critical. But I was going to say, if you have kids, your parents will move.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a
But
powerful.
there are already their
Yeah,
grandkids
yeah,
are in
yeah.
the same hometown, so
Yeah.
it's like
But you will have new grandkids.
I
The
know.
new grandkids get
I
the
know.
step up.
Yeah. That. Well, you know what? You're probably making a great choice.
Yeah.
So how's it feel to go from, you came here, I believe, with a youth pastor position at a church, local church, and then it turned into something else, turned into surf church.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up with that? I've never been to surf church.
Dude, you got to come to
I
Surf
know.
Church.
Well, I'm going to go when Laurel preaches, but that's not till August.
Yeah.
Wait, you're preaching.
Yeah.
Why do you got to giggle about that awkwardly? And why don't you put your shoulders back and tell us when you're preaching?
I'm not sure.
Sister.
We'll check.
Laurel's
double
gonna kill it. Everybody come out whenever come to Surf Church.
I'm
when
coming.
Laurel preaches.
Yeah.
check. Oh boy.
I'm going to be heckling in the back.
So let's get back to surf church. What?
Okay.
How did it get started?
All right. So I don't know how long we have for this podcast.
Not
but,
long.
yeah,
No, in a nutshell.
In
Hurry
a,
up.
Yeah. I'm already talking too long. In a nutshell, so COVID happened, churches were shut down, but I had already had a couple local business owners, meet me, talk to me, say, hey, you're a student pastor on Wrightsville Beach. Like, if you do something with surfing and Jesus, we'll support you in any way possible.
Wow.
So I started having this question. I was like, man,
So they already had a vision for it
Right.
a little bit.
right.
Where were
And
you a youth pastor?
So I'm this student and college pastor
Student and
at
college.
Wrightsville Beach Baptist Church.
Okay,
And so
gotcha.
I've
So
been
you're
there.
already at Wrightsville Beach.
Yep. So I've been there for 4 years.
Okay.
And my wife is the children's director there, so we moved here to work at that church.
Okay.
And so COVID, churches are shut down, but I'd already been kind of dreaming up.
And they were like, "We're already paying you, dude. So you
Right.
better do something."
Right.
Right.
I had already been kind of dreaming up what to do with surfing and Jesus. And so once I had these guys tell me, they'd support me in any way, I started calling anyone I knew that loved surfing and loved Jesus. And I was like, hey, so my wife and I actually were on a road trip to Oklahoma in our RV.
Full
And
circle.
so, yeah, we initially bought an RV and we're going to live in it here.
Yeah.
But now we live in a house in Wrightsville Beach, which is a huge blessing. Different story.
Wow.
Yeah. But,
Rags to riches.
yeah.
Seriously.
I'm a classic rags to riches story.
Country mouse, come to town.
Yeah. So we had talked about this idea of just super simple. We'd gather on the beach, and we'd have coffee and donuts, and we would just share the gospel, share a devotional, and just super simple. And so I started calling everyone I knew, and I was like, hey, would you be interested in this? Would you come to this? And people were like, yeah, that would be awesome. And then some people said, hey, you need to talk to Matt Beecham because he's trying to do this same
Christian
thing.
surfers.
Who Matt Beecham is, I think his correct title is like a regional director for Christian surfers.
And he was a professional surfer.
Right. And so he
Okay.
actually, so I'm in Oklahoma, it's like I've really just started surfing really over the past 3 years, but I've been here for 4. The first year of trying to surf was me just getting wrecked.
Right, which means, Ashley, you really need to get out there so you can get over that first year hump.
Yeah.
I'm not over it from my previous experience, you think?
No, that was no.
I tell people surfing is literally, especially when you first start, is really one of the most humbling sports because it really doesn't matter
Great.
how
And
athletic
she
you
hates
are.
that.
Yeah.
She likes to start really good at something.
It doesn't matter how athletic you are because you have to learn how to read waves. You have to learn how to position yourself. You have to learn how to maneuver on a board. It's so much more than just popping up and
Right.
skating.
So much more.
So
Like
much
skiing,
more.
you know, you get on
Much
the
harder
skis
than
and-
free diving.
I have free dive, so I can't say.
Yeah, that
I
was your
have-
experience with free diving, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a natural.
So
No.
So anyway, you're on
I-
the beach.
I talked to Matt Beecham,
Talked to Matt
and
Beecham.
we connected. And then, long story short, we were like, "Hey, there's this kind of a handful or more of kind of leaders," and we said, "Let's do this." And we showed up on like June 6th, so it's almost been a year that we've been having Surf Church. And
Wow.
the mission of Surf Church was, "Hey, we want to reach surfers with the gospel. We want to."
So you were specifically targeting surfers.
Specifically targeting surfers,
We're
but
such a like gutter group of people.
yeah,
There was a definite need.
but also one of the things we say at Surf Church is
Degenerate.
degenerates. But Surf Church is open to everyone, so we have lots of people who come who don't surf.
Yeah.
But the mission is specifically for surfers and really for it's like people who will never step foot in a church.
Right.
And so I just hit that. That was my bad.
Yeah, about to say, who did that?
Who keeps making noises? So that was kind of the mission with the vision of, hey, anytime there are waves in Wrightsville, we want to make sure that the presence of God through his people are present in the water. And it's not like,
Whoa, that's a much bigger mission than
Yeah.
Sunday. Wait, say that again.
so anytime there are waves at Wrightsville, that the presence of God through his people is present in the water.
This is like the Blues Brothers. Like it's a mission from,
From God.
Yeah. And I have a mission from God to go surf whenever there's waves.
Oh, she just
Boom.
got permission to call out of
Wow.
work,
Boom.
to get
Oh,
her
yeah.
husband's birthday.
Boom.
She is, it's God's work now.
Sold
Boom.
out for the
Okay.
Lord.
So I have a question though,
Yes.
because it sounds like it kind of started as a COVID's happening. How do we continue to have church?
Kind of, but not. We were.
The root
it
was before
really,
that.
It was the root was before.
Okay. Root was before. You're out there. You call people. You want them to come to this church, but you're expecting that passersby are going to see Surf Church and turn an ear and listen.
Mm-hmm.
But how do people typically receive this? I mean, getting other Christians to come to Surf Church is an easy sell.
So
Hey, we're having church, but it's on the beach.
it's on the beach and it's only like 15, 20 minutes. So
Right.
one of our things.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's like, so one of our things seriously
What
was.
I've always wanted church
Laurel,
to be.
stop
I know.
and stop interrupting our guest.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Sorry,
I'm not
Mark.
going to tell you again.
Mark,
Yeah,
can I
we
get
do
some
that
grace?
at Surf Church. When people try to interrupt, we do that. No, I'm just kidding.
Judgment.
Oh, injustice.
Yeah, here's the justice.
Mm.
Shh.
So, one of our things was, hey, we don't want this just to be the favorite flavor of church where church people like
Leave their home church and
leave.
come to
Yeah.
Surf Church.
So,
Yeah.
And so we really didn't do much advertising. Like the only thing we have is
word of mouth.
Instagram. And we didn't even have the Instagram until after we had been really doing it for several months. And the goal was, hey, we really, and surfers, they're kind of an exclusive people anyways, and they're kind of like, we don't want a lot of people to be out. You go to the South End and it's like a zoo out there, and it's like,
Constant.
and so surfers don't like that. So, our goal was never to make it something huge. Like we wanted it to, and we want it to be, we desire it to be something that's, intimate and really geared where surfers would feel welcome. And so, but now I've forgotten your question because of Laurel's antics.
She keeps butting in. She won't.
It was, how do people receive it?
I just like being the black sheep.
Because you've got people coming. You've got your little group.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful because it's like a small group and you're doing the things on the beach. But really, you're wanting this presence of God to permeate the non-believers or the people that are on the fence or whatever. And I don't know about you, but I waited a lot of tables in my day.
Right.
And the worst day to wait tables is Sunday because the church folk come in and they're not going to tip you. They're cheap.
Terrible.
They're going to give you the
They're
crappy pamphlet.
We are so cheap.
It's awful. Maybe not the.
They're
Maybe not
gonna
the.
give you the crappy pamphlet.
Jesus pamphlets.
And that's not what you need to make rent. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's not a good way to advertise Jesus.
No.
Let me be really
I've got
stingy.
something better than money for you.
Jesus
know.
met people's physical and spiritual needs.
God,
Yeah.
tell me about it. So, anyway, church it's a hard sell because I think evangelism has been done wrong, and it is still just being done wrong. And I'm wondering how Surf Church is bridging that gap, just hoping that it'll spill over and people will hear.
So people have come to Surf Church through every avenue. Either they were told by a friend, either, we encourage our surfers to invite people who are out in the water. As we, because we usually, right now, the sun's up so early, it's awesome. We surf from 5:30 to like, if there are
7:30
waves, we'll surf for 2 hours before Surf Church even starts. And so we've had lots of people who are walking by, they come up and listen, we invite people, hey, grab donuts and coffee. Like we've had people grab donuts and coffee and just leave. And we're like, hey, if you just want to grab them and leave, like you can stick around if you want. You don't have to. And so what's super cool about Surf Church
Hospitable.
is, there are so many people who have become a part of it who have either never been a part of like church life or have been burned by church people, which we need more and more grace because all people are broken and fallen. So really people have come through many different avenues, whether inviting, walking up, and it's really been received really, I feel like it's been received really well. And one of the coolest things that has been a product of Surf Church is the community of surfers within that. Where there's a lot of guys who have never been plugged into church life, and so they've gotten plugged into these, surfer group texts, and so they get out in the water, and they're during the winter time we moved into Jerry Allen's bar, which was super cool. We said we were going from the beach to the bar, and so we had Jerry Allen's packed out every Sunday, but during the winter, we went through the book of John. So we had multiple people that were in there every week that were hearing each chapter of John for the first time ever, hearing these stories of Jesus for the first time ever. And it's people who, and we have people traveling from Jacksonville, like we have people traveling from places to come to Surf Church. And these are people who have never been plugged into church before.
Can I go?
Yeah.
You got something? I got something. There's two things that are attractive to me about Surf Church, even though I haven't been. And one is that it's small, and
it's small, but sometimes it's not small enough. Like
sometimes it's big.
We have like usually 75 to 100.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's not small.
Yeah. It's kind of gotten big, and so one of the things we've done is
expanded.
We had a lot of people coming from Carolina Beach, and so we've actually started a surf church in Carolina Beach. It started maybe 4 weeks ago. And so trying to continue to keep the gatherings small.
Small is important, I think. Yeah. And I love how Surf Church kind of circumvents all the churchy stuff.
Yes.
This churchy stuff that is probably not part of the original church and not kind of the design of the original church. Yeah, right. They didn't just jump right into the admin. part of church. And I think that's what turns people away a lot from church, and kind of keeps people that are interested and haven't heard the basic stories. It keeps them away. I know that something like surf church would be way more attractive to Ren. My husband, because he'll even say when I'm like, well, let's do this or that. He says, I just don't understand why we can't do church in the backyard with our friends and stuff. And I'm thinking,
that's exactly
what we should do. For somebody like him, especially who has a hard time. He just has a hard time with just the stuff. The stuff, right?
Tradition, expectations, and it's like, and this is one of the things I say. It's not like any of it's bad or wrong,
right?
But tradition can be bad when it becomes kind
binding
of like
up.
when it becomes binding, or like it becomes like where
An
the
obstacle.
tradition becomes God, or it's like
Right.
or it's like the Pharisees having God's law, but then they add their other things to it that you have to uphold, or you're not really doing it right. And so, surf church kind of one of my favorite sayings is "Keep it simple, stupid," and
keep it simple, silly.
Keep it
That's
simple,
what he meant.
silly.
Silly.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say stupid on the air. But surf church keeps it really simple, and surf church isn't everything that the body of Christ needs.
Mm-hmm.
But the purpose of it is the mission is to reach surfers with the gospel and with the vision of the presence of God through his people in the water anytime there are waves. And so we just stick to that. That's our lane that we want to run in. There's a lot that
there's other lanes, but you're in your one lane.
Yes. And so we try to focus on that. And so it is really attractive for people who maybe, when you step foot into any type of denomination of church and you're like, I don't know the traditions, I don't know the practices. Or
When do
like,
I stand up?
What
When
am
do
I supposed to
kneel?
wear? Or,
And
Also-
what's this funny flat piece of styrofoam that they want me to put in my mouth?
But also,
when we do communion at Surf Church, we do
Real
juice,
bread.
we do juice boxes and donut holes.
perfect.
Ah.
That's exactly what Christ should taste
They
like.
said manna is like donuts,
Sweet,
right?
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
Also there is all that traditional stuff, but I think something like surf church or something smaller or more intimate, the church becomes more conversational and it's much easier to learn. Like when you see the way that Jesus is depicted in the Bible, he's not on this big podium, right? Talking and pontificating.
Right.
It
He
is
does
very
take questions.
conversational.
He
Yeah.
takes questions.
People are asking questions and they're learning because of that. So
So one of the things I like about surf church is just that idea of it being outside of four walls and
Oh, yeah.
being outside, but also kind of going to where people are instead of expecting people to come to you.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And
Go
I,
to where the people are.
yeah, and I think I also like the fact that, you've got a wide variety of people who talk.
Yep.
You've had pastors speak, you've had regular people, non-pastors speak, men speak, women speak.
People who have their own podcast speak.
Laurel's speaking.
Did we say that already?
I
Yeah,
don't
I think you
know.
did.
Well, what date? Say the date so we can everyone can come listen.
I don't know, but
Just do
But
it.
I did want to ask, you also have some other women that are speaking in the next few weeks or whatever.
And I saw Laurel at a coffee shop the other day. We got some young girls speaking who are like, they're maybe 20, 19, 21.
That's going to be so cool.
And so,
When
yeah,
is that? You'll have to give me the dates of that. August 8th is Laurel.
August 8th is Laurel. There's sometime this summer.
Okay.
I have the schedule in my pocket, but
Not in your brain.
Yeah, not in my brain.
That's great though because it empowers them early.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to have this.
You don't have to have a degree
Lifetime
in
of
theology.
wisdom.
No, you're just sharing your story.
Yeah.
That's what I think is great. And that's what actually God says that he's going to empower that. When you tell your story about God in your life, then that's going to carry the most meaning, I think, to other people when they hear it in context in your life.
I'm inspired because I think I should start beach church when I go to my freediving spots. But it'll be really embarrassing because it'll just be me there.
That's okay. That was one of the things, like with Surf Church, we were like, hey, even if it's just a handful of us who show up,
That's okay.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
it was still a handful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be awkward if I'm like, well, here.
Well, we've talked about that on the podcast, Ashley, that, God calls us in the realm that we live, and you live in a freediving world, which brings, just like surfers, a lot of people who kind of worship the creation, or they're open spiritually, but they don't really have, a context or a connection to, God the Father.
Or
you know,
they've never researched themselves. They don't understand why Christianity is different from Buddhism, and why can't it all just be the same thing.
And then instead of just talking about it, you're living in a different way that may pose questions for them, that they would go, why do you do this? Or how, I knew you when, and now I see something different that's has a better palatable taste.
Hopefully.
Right, we all hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things Laura was saying, one of the cool things about Surf Church is we have a different speaker literally every week.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
so
good.
the whole summer, usually no one speaks twice. And we have men, women, all, ages, race, ethnicities,
Interests, they're not all surfers.
interests. They're not all surfers.
Actually, you could talk.
Seriously.
I thought he was going to say, no.
Seriously?
Seriously.
That's what that was. It was like, seriously?
And so the only thing we ask, and so we don't even tell people what to talk about. We say, talk about whatever God's been teaching you, share your own testimony if you want to share something out of the Bible. But the one thing we always ask people, we say, we just want to make sure that you put the gospel in there, make sure the gospel is present, because our mission is to reach surfers with the gospel. And so we want to make sure we're presenting that about Jesus every week.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then somebody's not like, you should take a freediving class. Surf churchers. That's what you should do. Oh, yeah. And Jesus would want you to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
That's
move
wonderful.
into some homework.
I've enjoyed that. Hey, you got to do the Devo.
We just did the Devo.
You didn't. Oh, but
I think
usually
our whole
you do
episode.
I think we covered everything.
I
already.
think we did too.
Well, usually she's like, here's a scripture, blah, blah, blah.
Well, the only thing I was going to say, we talked about the Great Commission, and that is when Jesus asks us to go out. And so not necessarily to go into a church, but to go out and meet people where they are.
You know what? That's something else that people get confused about. They get stuck just going to church, and they don't realize that's not their job. Their job isn't just go to church. They are discipling.
Yeah.
That's their job.
And church, the word in the Bible is ecclesia, which means like to be like sent out. So it's like the church is to be a people who are to be sent out. And so, it's like having that understanding, like, hey, and
We're equipping you.
People say that all the time, the church isn't a place, it's a people, but the goal is to
Equip them
right
to go out.
to go out. And one of the my favorite things I've enjoyed telling people is, because a lot of times we think, even as Christians, like, oh, I need to be making disciples, or like people need Jesus for their eternity. But the reality is like, if you really walk with Jesus and you experience what life is like really following him and trying to, in our best way, to be like him, then you realize, man, that's where real life is found.
Amen.
So it's not that people just need Jesus for their eternity, but people need Jesus now.
Yes.
So many people are hurting now and are just struggling with anything and just aren't fulfilled. And it's like, man, people need Jesus in life now. That's why we need to make disciples, is because people need Jesus.
Yeah, that is exactly what. Remember, I told you the conversation with Francesca, and she brought up the old me, and I think she doesn't really understand that, because she calls the old me the fun me, and it's like, I get that, but what you don't understand is she died,
Yeah.
so that this new, better, more rounded, and better wife could emerge, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
it's
and then
lost.
just how you feel, like how you, like the anxiety or
Yeah.
all those things that we deal with. No, your life's not perfect when you become a Christian, but you have something that kind of washes all those things in a new light, that when you're still the same person, but you are a new person, that all with those same qualities, all with those same perceptions, but now it's through a different lens.
in a new direction. Yeah. Yeah. Now that's a Devo. Okay.
Okay.
That's a diva.
Now we've
Woo,
done
wrap
it
now
up, wrap
it
up.
Check it off.
Check it off the box.
How about some homework?
Homework.
So we usually give our listeners just something to think about, something to do after every episode. This episode being slightly intervention-ish and
Yeah.
slightly...
It didn't work. He's still moving.
He's still moving.
I've got some homework.
Yeah, okay.
You want me? I
Yes.
mean, this is kind of forward, and not all of our listeners are going to
You're so
love this.
forward.
Yeah. I think the homework should just be to read the Gospels because
I thought you were going to say to watch The Chosen.
I think that should be it.
you know what? If you're afraid to read the Gospels, watch The Chosen. It'll teach you.
Well, I
the
think
basic-
it gives you a good example of when you look around at your friends right now
Yeah.
and you watch The Chosen,
Yeah, I know
you're
who-
going to
I
see
know who
them
you are.
all.
I know who
You're
you
going to
are.
see your friends, and then you're also going to see this person who is, think of your best friend,
Uh-huh.
and then think of them 10 times way cooler and better and wonderful, but like more wonderful than your bestest
And
friend.
that would be
Jesus, not you.
Oh, yeah, 10 times. With one thing about The Chosen. So watch The Chosen, that's the homework. But one thing is
or read the Gospels.
Or
read the
Gospels.
Gospels, yeah. Or maybe watch The Chosen first
Or
if
read-
you're not a Bible person.
Yes.
Mm.
But also, as you watch it, don't take everything that happens in The Chosen, if you've never read the Gospels, doesn't actually happen in the Gospels.
True.
And so don't take it all as completely it happened and historical and true.
For instance, I'm not sure Jesus was so good looking.
He's pretty good looking
He's
in that
sexy.
show.
And the
And Peter, hot,
Yeah,
hot to
totally.
try.
Totally. I'm thinking, well, this ain't bad.
I mean, the veins in Peter's arms.
Yeah.
But he was
Yeah.
a fisherman, so he probably
Yeah,
really
he
did.
Yeah,
probably
that's
really
legit.
was.
Yeah.
Ruggedly handsome. And with the short cut, that's pretty trendy. So anyway, watch The Chosen and read the Gospels. Yeah. But going back, disciples, last thing, I know we got to wrap it up. One thing I like is, you start to have judgments on the disciples because of all their flaws, and you roll your eyes a little bit, especially in season 2 when you really get to know them.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, but it's so amazing because they're all in their flaws grasping for Jesus equally, and that helps us to relate as friends, people that because you see their flaws and they annoy you or whatever, but we're all equally grasping, hopefully, at Jesus's coattails. So it reminds us we're just children.
And the disciples don't have everything figured out.
They ain't got nothing
I think
figured
that's,
out.
That's a huge encouragement for people. It's like you can follow Jesus and not fully understand everything.
You can even preach Jesus and not fully understand.
Well, they didn't
'Cause
understand
nobody,
anything.
Nobody fully understands
Right,
everything.
exactly.
But he didn't choose people that knew anything. He was
didn't
like, "Hey,
choose the
fishermen,
priests.
come here."
He chose
You know?
he chose people who were just willing.
Yeah,
They were just
curious,
Mm-hmm.
willing. That believed,
Yeah.
right? Even if they had to be shown first.
Hey,
That happens too.
thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Mark, for showing up.
Thank you,
you
Mark.
guys for having me on here. I had an absolute blast.
That was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was fun.
And maybe we could sing out something that went something like sign up for our newsletter at our website.
Can you come up with something on the fly?
Yeah.
That's you, Mark, not us.
Sign up,
Sign up.
sign up,
Sign
sign up for the newsletter.
Newsletter.
Dum, dum, dum.
Gotta sign up for the newsletter and become a patron. Buy me a coffee. How did that work out? We did not rehearse this crap, but it's just flowing.
Oh.
Whatever.
All right.
All right. We
was
got to
good.
get out of here.
Yeah.
That was not bad.
Thank
Not
you.
bad.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks.